Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video we're going to be talking about how to practice when you don't actually have a piano. There may be a number of reasons why you don't have access to a piano. You may have just started out and you want to try out the instrument before you commit to purchasing anything. You may also be away from home and you have no way of practicing because you haven't got an instrument there with you. Whatever the reason may be, there are ways to get around this and there are ways to practice piano without actually having a piano there. Obviously practice is always going to be better when you have access to an instrument, but there are times when that's not possible. So in this video I'm going to give you 5 ways to practice the piano when you are in this situation and you don't have access to a piano. So the first way to improve at piano without a piano is by practicing music theory. Music theory isn't going to help your technique, or it's not going to help you be able to physically move your fingers any better, but it will help your understanding of music. And if you're currently learning songs or pieces, you can use music theory to really analyse that music and get much better at understanding. And understanding is half the battle when you're learning the piano. And there are lots of ways to practice music theory. You can get a lot of different types of workbooks, and I'll leave some of those in the description. And if you work through these workbooks, you'll find that just your general playing and music knowledge will improve. There are also lots of free music theory apps which you can use, which are also very useful. And you can also use Google to search terms and things that you may not understand in your music. Either way, understanding some music theory is very helpful, and you may as well do this when you don't have access to a piano. The second way to practice without a piano is to mental practice. So mental practice is something that athletes do and musicians do it a lot as well, and this is where you are rehearsing a physical movement in your head without actually being able to do that physical movement. Now on the surface this sounds like a weird thing to do. If you imagine playing the piano, you're not going to get better at playing the piano. But if you are more specific about it, if you work on 2 bars in a piece and you've got the music in front of you and you rehearse in your head where you think your fingers are going to go, which fingers you're going to use, concentrate on how that rhythm might be played and sing it in your head, and you will find by the time you come back to a piano and want to play that particular section of music, it will have improved. I myself have used mental practice when travelling to practice pieces on the go, and I know a lot of other musicians who have as well. So if you haven't yet done this, it's worth giving it a go if you don't have access to a piano. The third way to practice without a piano is to do tabletop practice. Now here's a quick story for you. When I was auditioning for music colleges and I didn't have access to a piano in the hotel room, I sat and went through the entire programme of music that I had to play by playing it on top of a table. What I was trying to achieve from this is to try and reassure myself that I did know the notes and that I knew where my hands were going to go at any one time. With the type of pieces that I was playing for the audition, which was very hard, I needed some way of being able to practice the notes and rehearse them in my head without actually being able to play a piano. And the nearest available thing was a table, so that's where I practiced. This is similar to mental practice because you are having to do a lot of the work in your head. However, you are getting to practice how you move your fingers as well. And if you are someone who finds getting the right fingers difficult, then this is a good way to practice if you're at work or if you're out and about and you have just a spare 5 minutes. The fourth way to practice piano without a piano is to do music analysis. Now, I sort of touched on this when I talked about music theory. However, if you are not near a piano and you have your pieces with you or any music that you're trying to learn, you can spend some time trying to break the piece down and work out the structure, work out what chords are being played at the time, work out how the melody is shaped, where the phrases are, what key you're in. With music analysis, what you're really trying to do is give yourself a way to digest the music. When you first see a piece of music that's on the edge of your comfort zone, normally when you first look at the page, you think, what's going on there? By having a look through the piece and just actively pointing out the obvious of where things are, you're going to make the piece a bit more palatable, and it will also help your musicality when you're playing the piano because you'll understand how the piece is structured. The fifth way to practice the piano when you don't have a piano is listening. Obviously you can listen to other people play the same music on YouTube or on some streaming service or on a CD if you still have those, but I would also recommend listening to yourself play. When you do have access to a piano, if you get into the habit of recording yourself playing, then you can listen to those recordings back and you can objectively pick out the things in those recordings that you think you did really well on and also the things that you think need improving. While you're listening to them, if you make a list of notes, this can be very valuable to you just on knowing where you need to work on. You can then use these things to do some mental practice or some tabletop practice, or for when you do have access to a piano. Now obviously playing the piano will be the most optimal way of getting better at the piano, but even if you do always have access to a piano, I would try some of these these methods out anyway, because that will probably make you a more efficient practicer in the long term. If you have any experience of practicing without a piano, then let me know in the comments. I'm interested to hear about your experience. If you want to book a lesson with me, you can do that using the link in the description. And before you go on to this video, hit me with a like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.